You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, the city of Joplin beefs up its firewall against cyber attacks.
Now that the wind has shifted and worked in from the north, we're in the midst of a September cold front. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, did you hear the one about the giraffe on the beach? We'll have those stories and more coming up.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. The Joplin City Council meets to discuss a number of things, but there were a couple of key items on the agenda last night. One of those was a resolution creating a commission for equity, diversity, and inclusion. 6 people spoke at the meeting, all in opposition to the resolution. Council was divided, with 3 members saying they do not believe this is the best option for the city. In the end, the council voted to table the resolution for the time being. The council also had an emergency ordinance to consider a contract between the city and a cybersecurity firm based out of Kansas City. In July, the city was the victim of a cyber attack. The city manager then directed city staff to get bids from various companies to strengthen the city's cybersecurity position. Among the 11 bidders, RavenEye LLC of Kansas City had the winning bid. RavenEye would be responsible for co-managing network security for the city and upgrading current network security systems. The council approved the new contract on an emergency basis. Missouri Highway Patrol releases some statistics from the Labor Day weekend. Authorities say there were 351 vehicle accidents over the holiday weekend, with 103 injuries and 7 fatalities. When it comes to people in the water, there were 7 reported boating accidents with 4 injuries and 1 death. There were no reported drownings over the weekend. An openly gay teacher resigns from the Neosho School District after being asked to sign a letter promising to not talk about his sexuality. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky has his story.
John Wallace was looking forward to his first year teaching at Neosho Junior High School and wanted to make his classroom an inclusive space for all of his students. After asking school administration if he could display a pride flag and sign saying "In this classroom, all are welcome," he says he was advised not to.
But I ultimately decided to put the signs up above my whiteboard, and I had a small pride flag on my bookshelf.
When parents found out, they complained to the school superintendent, and Wallace was advised to sign a letter stating he would take down the pride flag and the sign in the classroom.
I was asked to sign a letter that said I would not talk about human sexuality or my sexual preference in the classroom. It was a representation that my classroom is a safe place for students.
That was the last straw. He turned in his resignation the following morning.
For this to happen was already upsetting enough because I have seen how this community responds to things like that, but I thought we had been able to move past this.
The news was hard for many. One of Wallace's students was a member of the LGBTQ community. Her mother says she was excited to finally have someone to relate to.
She's devastated. She doesn't feel like she has anybody that she can go to. It made her more comfortable, I guess, to be herself, especially in the classroom.
After Wallace posted the news on Facebook, the support poured in from students, parents, and others.
Teacher, and I feel really bad that he was treated that way because he was always welcoming and he would do anything for anybody, even if it was a million steps out of his way.
And it would have meant the world to me to have a teacher in this district who was open, who was out, and who could show students that I'm not some scary, unnatural person that you've been taught to be scared of. I am me. I am normal. I just happen to love differently.
Neosho, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
We reached out to the Neosho Superintendent's office and received a statement saying there is a limited amount of information that the school district is allowed to release, but that Wallace submitted his resignation September 1st. At-home testing kits for COVID-19 could be harder to find on store shelves. The kits had been fairly widely available since the spring, but now with the Delta variant surge, stores are selling out. In an article by the Wall Street Journal, Abbott Laboratories, the maker of the popular Binax Now testing kit, says they expect supply to be slim over the next few weeks. Here in the 4 states, availability of a testing kit varies from place to place. Stone's Corner Pharmacy has been carrying them for a few months, but they don't currently have any in stock.
We have had them up until last week even, but right now they doesn't appear to be available. Even searched online for some different places that we wouldn't typically use, and we weren't able to source them right now.
All right, well, this is no tall tale. Police visiting a beach in California saw an unexpected guest frolicking in the sand, a giraffe. Of course, as you can see, it's in an enclosure. It appeared to be part of a Labor Day event. No word on what that was, though. People who went to the beach seemed to be amused by the display. It's unclear how the giraffe was brought there, but you can imagine that it possibly was a real pain in the neck.
I am so thoroughly confused.
There is a giraffe
There's
on
a
the
giraffe
beach, on a California beach.
in an enclosure, right?
Yeah. So there was some kind of event where they had clearly zoo animals there.
Right.
But all that remains is the giraffe.
They left the giraffe. Is that what I'm supposed to take out of that? Somebody's going to get fired from that traveling zoo circus thing.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they seriously just decided that the giraffe was, like I said, a pain in the neck, and that they would come back later.
You better watch it. You're going to get the animal rights activists going right there. You don't strand a giraffe on a beach.
How about they give him some water?
Well, I'm sure they did. I find it hard to believe that nobody's got an immediate answer for this, especially since it's in an enclosure. I expected to see like this thing just wandering around. All right.
Which would be fun.
Well, more to come. We'll keep you updated on this story. Probably not. Not gonna lie to you. Probably.
Hey, we keep going back to our wandering elephants.
Probably.
Now we have
right. We've got
now
elephants.
we have the beach giraffe.
We've got elephants in China to take care of. This is, and that's no offense
Maybe
to
the
giraffe
giraffe
lovers.
was like jealous of beached whales, so he wanted to be beached.
There's a, if you're ever interested, there are sometimes giraffes in Sycamore Springs, Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yes, I've got a picture for scale. Let's just put it that way. This is a live look outside of Television City, where the glow cloud now making its way up, and maybe now we get a little bit of a bump up temperature-wise, because I don't even think we're going to get up to our normal average for September the 8th, which would be 85 degrees. What we've seen is a drop in temperatures up to the north. Fort Scott got down to 58. Pittsburgh's actually up to 59. It was below that earlier, and then look at the 60s running from Nevada, Lamar into Joplin. We've seen Miami drop 5-6 degrees along with Neosho. So the cold front that came in after last night's thunderstorm activity, while it's moving, it really hasn't settled all the way in. And of course, it's accompanied by north wind. We've got a flood warning for the Little Osage in Vernon County, Missouri that's extended all the way until Friday. Clear skies with high pressure and the barometer on the rise. Cloud cover staying down through Arkansas, and those thunderstorms still working their way down to the south, but they're all the way right now on the other side of the Red River. 7-day forecast with temperatures today around 84 degrees. And here's the great thing. How about back-to-back days of mid-80s? Because the heat wave is coming, and it'll be back on us for Friday.
All right, well, up next, dealing with the flu season during the COVID-19 pandemic. And after 40 million cases in the U.S., is it time for COVID booster shots? You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back. It's safe. Flu season is approaching. And as COVID-19 cases increase in the region, experts worry about a flu season compounded with the COVID pandemic. Mercy's infectious disease preventionist Donna Stokes recommends people get vaccinated against the flu and says it is safe to get a flu shot with the COVID-19 vaccine.
Right now, CDC is saying that you can take COVID vaccine and influenza vaccine at the same time. We're obviously going to do one injection in one arm and one in the other. So if there is a reaction or a local reaction, we know what they're reacting to.
Flu numbers dropped last year. Some experts believe that was due to an increase in masking. Jasper County Health Department reports 6 more COVID-19 deaths. The patients were 3 men in their 50s, 60s, and 80s, and 3 women in their 30s, 40s, and 60s. The latest deaths bring the county's total to 202. Jasper County reports COVID-19 deaths separately from the city of Joplin, which is currently reporting 164 deaths. COVID-19 cases continue to climb across the U.S., significantly higher than after Labor Day last year. This surge comes as many students are returning to the classroom. Meanwhile, the FDA is set to meet in 10 days to discuss COVID-19 boosters. Mandy Gaither has the latest.
In the war against COVID-19, it's another grim milestone. More than 40 million cases in the U.S. since the pandemic began. Over 4 million of those in the last month.
We got here in part because we have the Delta variant.
COVID-19 cases are more than 300 times higher than Labor Day of last year, according to data from Johns Hopkins University, leading to overcrowded hospitals and a rise in infections in children, especially concerning as many students are returning to their classrooms.
We've got to get the school system masked, in addition to surrounding the children with vaccinated people.
Dr. Anthony Fauci says getting more shots in arms is key to slowing the spread of COVID-19, and booster shots for those who received either the Pfizer or Moderna vaccines will offer further protection.
I believe strongly that ultimately we are going to see that as the proper regimen, 3 doses of an mRNA.
For those who got 2 doses of Pfizer, the target start date for boosters is September 20th, pending FDA and CDC recommendations. Fauci says Moderna boosters may be a little later. It's still unclear whether different types of vaccines can be mixed. Researchers are studying that now.
If you are a vaccinated person, you're generally healthy, then it's okay at this point to wait to see what the FDA and CDC are saying.
Top health experts agree the most important thing now, getting those who are unvaccinated to roll up their sleeves. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Dr. Fauci says he hopes data on whether the 2 mRNA vaccines can be mixed will be back in a reasonable period of time. He hopes in a couple of weeks. When it comes to keeping free and clear of viruses and germs, start the countdown clock when you wash your hands. Various studies show people who are short on time spend about an average of 5 to 6 seconds washing their hands. 5% of people spend 15 seconds or more on washing, rubbing, and rinsing. Dr. Phil Hammond with the American Institute of Physics now has a physics model estimating timescales on which particles like virus and bacteria are removed from hands, and ultimately says 20 seconds of washing is needed. Now, this study was published in the Physics of Fluids.
What happened to the whole thing we teach kids to sing happy birthday?
Yeah,
to
that's
yourself?
Definitely over 20 seconds.
Yeah. No, that really surprised me. Like what can you accomplish in 5 to 6 seconds washing your hands?
That's just people who are in a hurry.
Yeah, because you save so much time during the course of your day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then you get sick.
You know the happy birthday thing though, right?
Yeah, you wash your hands, you sing happy birthday.
Sing happy birthday, yeah. I was just surprised that didn't come up. I didn't know if that was something that they still, like, I don't want to say taught, but used as like a trick, I guess.
I will say this, the kids were really healthy last year, so using all those mitigation things, teaching kids, re-emphasizing that washing your hands and stuff.
Right. Oh,
it was great. It was great.
They listen a lot more than they think we do, or than we think they do. 60 degrees over 7 and range line. We've seen a 6-degree drop in Joplin alone, and that is because the cold front is upon us. Now we'll kind of stabilize our temperatures, kind of working north to south here as we go. So it's the southern portion that's experiencing the drop, Miami, Neosho, and then Anderson and Cassville. You'll be up next. We've already dropped down into the high 50s there, Iola, Fort Scott, Pittsburgh. And so then we'll see a little stabilization here in the next half hour, and then we'll begin our warm-up. But it's going to be a pleasant warm-up when I say that. You can tell how much cooler it is up to the north there from what it was yesterday. Quick reminder, flood warning for the Little Osage River in Vernon County lasting until Friday. Thunderstorms, a thing of the past from overnight. We did have multiple hail reports coming out of Crawford County and Montgomery County. as much as an inch in diameter, but today's severe thunderstorm risk will stay off to the northeast. We're going to get sunny skies, mild temperatures, 84 for a high, 86 tomorrow. Then we'll get ready for the heat wave. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here. Let's just enjoy 2 great September days and be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. Webb City Cardinals 5-2 to begin the softball season. Cards opening up COC play last night. Had a home game against the Joplin Eagles, and Joplin off to a good start as well. 7-4 in their first 11 games. We're tied at 2 in the 4th inning. Dawson Decker lays down the squeeze bunt. That's called getting the job done as Kalen Gilbert hustles in and scores. That begins a huge inning for Webb City as moments later Peyton Hawkins has the bases loaded. Hawkins yanks it into left field. This will end up being a ground rule double that plates 2. Cards up 5-2. Keep rolling in the 4th. Hannah Wells has the bases loaded. Gapper to right center. Wells gonna clear them. All 3 runners score to make it 8-2 Webb City. Webb City bats back around to Kalen Gilbert. Gilbert not done. RBI double to left as the Cards put up 8 runs in the inning. Rolling in that conference opener and winning 12-2.
We started out pretty slow. Our hitting wasn't where we wanted to be. 4th inning, we finally got into it and just hit the lineup like we know how to do.
You know, that's really big to start out the conference play with a win, especially with a dominating win. And, you know, that's what we want to do every game. And, you know, just, it was a good feeling to come out strong.
Couple other COC conference openers. Carl Junction opening up against Carthage, and Carthage wins it with a shutout, 10-0. Inside the circle, one Jensen Elder. How about Elder with a complete game and 11 strikeouts? Neosho Wildcats going on the road in the conference opener went up to Republic, and Neosho wins a good one. Final score 2-1. McKaylee Forrest, she went 2 for 3 with a double and an RBI. Wildcats back in action on Thursday. Back-to-back road games. Neosho's got to go on the road and take on Willard. Diamond Wildcats are off to a hot start this football season. Already 2-0 to start the year. Got wins against Ash Grove, got a win against Pierce City. First time since 2016 that Diamond has started the season with 2 straight victories. Now they're out to make it 3 in a row. Got Lighthouse Christian this Friday. The Diamond defense has been dominant. Run game, it's been huge. Get this, they've ran for 480 yards in 2 games. They not only got a quarterback by the name of Hunter Schallenberger, they got a running back. This dude, Landon Clement.
I mean, we're running behind trucks. I mean, it's insane. You know, we're going to run it down your throat. We're going to hit you in the face mask. You're gonna, you know, if you don't like it, we're going to do it again.
Our line's a big help with that factor, just getting off the ball, pushing them back. I mean, those 5-6 yard carries are a big play. I mean, it might not look big, but it adds up quick.
I tease them, I call them thunder and lightning, and you can kind of guess who's who just by looking at them. So, you know, Landon does a great job with our inside zone runs. You know, he's hard to bring down, and so, you know, he gives us that, you know, that inside run game where, you know, Hunter, every time he gets it, you know, he's looking to go the distance. So I feel like they work well with each other. It's a good balance for us.
Pitt State Gorillas back in the national rankings, the number 23 team in this week's American Football Coaches Association Division II poll. Last Thursday, Gorillas went on the road, beat 13th ranked Central Missouri in the season opener. Now this Saturday is the Gorillas home opener, get Nebraska Kearney at 7 o'clock at night. Northwest Missouri State, only other team in the MIAA to crack the top 25 this week as the Bearcats remain number 4 in the poll. Pitt State's next opponent, Kearney, didn't miss out by much. They received the 3rd most votes in the MIAA. Now, as for Central Missouri, they went from 13th in the nation to unranked after Pitt State got them. Fort Hays State and Washburn also receiving votes in this week's poll. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero. Sergeant Leonard Swink served in the United States Army in 2003 and 2005. He fought in the Iraq War. His hometown, Neodesha, Kansas. We are proud to salute Leonard Swink, our four-state hero. The KU student body president is facing outrage from some after retweeting a comment that many consider anti-American. Anna Ald looked into it to try to clarify what the student meant by the tweet.
KU student body president Naya Mikadu getting lots of feedback from a statement she retweeted reading, "Happy Friday, everybody. Death to America," with a grinning emoji, making many upset and wanting clarification on what she meant by the post. One student replied to her post saying, "As a military-affiliated student, I cannot stop thinking about this. We are only days out from the recent military deaths in Afghanistan and days away from 9/11, which impacted my family in ways very few understand," saying it was uncalled for. The president then explained, saying, "This is death to America that was built on indigenous genocide and the blacks of black slaves. If you're worried about the people in the service of the military, be mad at your government because my words shouldn't make you this mad." Later tweeting, "I have free speech like anyone else, and I'm not going to apologize for advocating for the death of a country built on racism." We reached out to Mikadu to explain further, and she would not do an interview or take any questions.
The KU communications director was not aware of the tweet and said they would look into the situation. Another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. What's it like to look into the eyes of a robot? We find out. And what would you do if you won the lottery? You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30. Let's take a look at today's top stories. The Joplin City Council meets to discuss a number of things, but there were a couple of key items on the agenda last night. One of those was a resolution creating a commission for equity, diversity, and inclusion. 6 people spoke at the meeting, all in opposition to the resolution. The council was divided, with 3 members saying they do not believe this is the best option for the city. In the end, the council voted to table the resolution for the time being. The council also had an emergency ordinance to consider a contract between the city and a cybersecurity firm based in Kansas City. In July, the city was the victim of a cyber attack. City manager directed city staff to get bids from various companies to strengthen the city's cybersecurity position. Among the 11 bidders, Raveneye LLC of Kansas City had the winning bid. Raveneye would be responsible for co-managing network security for the city and upgrading current network security systems. The council approved the new contract on an emergency basis. Missouri Highway Patrol releases some statistics from the Labor Day weekend. Authorities say there were 351 vehicle accidents over the holiday weekend, with 103 injuries and 7 fatalities. When it comes to people on the water, there were 7 reported boating accidents, with 4 injuries and 1 death. There were no reported drownings over the weekend. An openly gay teacher resigns from the Neosho School District after being asked to sign a letter promising to not talk about his sexuality. John Wallace, a teacher at Neosho Junior High, started the school year with 2 items above his whiteboard: a pride flag and a sign reading, "In this classroom, everyone is welcome." After reading complaints from parents, he says he was instructed to take both items out of his classroom or face being fired.
It was on the bookshelf as a representation for the students who may be closeted, they're not out, or maybe they are out, but they don't know where to go for support. And that was what my classroom was. It was a support system for those students specifically, as well as all students, because that's what the message was above my whiteboard.
Reached out to the Neosho Superintendent's office and received a statement saying that due to this being a personnel matter, there's a limited amount of information that the school district is allowed to release, but that Wallace submitted his resignation September 1st. The Webb City Farmers Market has new leadership. Eileen Nichols, the market manager and founder, had resigned back in February, and now Rachel Lynch has taken over and hopes to continue making the market a popular place.
After 20 dedicated years, we're excited to see her get to spend more time with her family and get to dedicate her time to, to her family's next generation. She gets to be with her grandkids a lot right now.
Lynch says she would like to eventually expand the market further as more vendors express interest. Missouri Southern is seeking entries for its homecoming parade. This year, it's a celebration of music, school spirit, and community pride, dubbed Decades of Southern Spirit. They're looking for local high school bands, big and small, as well as student organizations and athletic teams. Entrants will be eligible to win cash prizes. All floats must be decorated in a way that supports the team. Decades of Southern spirit. Joplin's Arvest Bank is honoring teachers through its We Love Teachers campaign, and it is looking for nominees. The campaign awards 154 teachers with $500 gifts. It's a total of $77,000 in prize money, and that money is spent on classroom needs for public school teachers. To nominate a teacher, just go to the Arvest Bank Facebook page and look for the We Love Teachers post between September 13th and the 19th.
Well done by Arvest Bank. Love that.
That's pretty cool.
People don't realize the amount of money that teachers spend out of, well, I think parents do, but as a whole, we don't think about the amount of money that teachers spend from their own out of pocket to pay for their classrooms and everything. I was raised by one, I'm a little bit partial. Our average high temperature for September is now eclipsed 90 degrees, albeit barely, but here's what's going to happen for the next 2 days. We'll probably see that fall below 90, thanks in part to what's going to be a very, very mild Wednesday, and Thursday is not going to be bad at all. Probably don't even need the air conditioner on at 7th and Range Line. Roll down the windows and enjoy a beautiful morning as it sits at 60 degrees right now in Joplin. Pittsburgh's at 58, Independence at 59. And even our cities down to the south, Neosho, Anderson, Miami, we've seen them fall about 5-6 degrees since earlier this morning, and that is thanks in part to the cold front that came in on the backside of last night's thunderstorms activity that now has our winds coming in from the north. Do want to point out a flood warning for the Little Osage River has been extended. Now doesn't expire until Friday morning. Slowly but surely, water's receding and will be dry, so that will definitely help out our rivers that are a little bit swollen. Skywatch Storm Tracker, everything down to the south of us, including those overnight thunderstorms. But I tell you what, they did not disappoint, especially along the Kansas-Missouri state line, where we had multiple reports of hail as much as an inch in diameter in Crawford County, also in Montgomery County. Give you an idea of the contiguous 48 and exactly where the cold front is going to push. Keep the thunderstorms off really for the most part east of the Mississippi. And eventually that front with the colored contour right there is going to duck into portions of northeastern Oklahoma and northwestern Arkansas. So it's not quite done as of yet. From the contiguous 48 to the Atlantic Basin, where Larry sits as a Category 3 hurricane, been pretty steady in keeping that track right there. So coming off of Ida, let's hope that Larry just stays out there. Our temperatures today will go low to mid 80s. Just absolutely wonderful with all the sunshine that we're going to have because of a high pressure system. Tomorrow, mid 80s, can't beat it. Now Friday, we begin to change our tune because the 90s are going to come back, and it's not only going to be a hot weekend, it's going to be a hot beginning of next week as well. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. You may be familiar with the old phrase, the eyes are the window to the soul. Well, experts say there's some truth behind that, citing the importance of eye contact in helping people infer social cues. But does the same thing happen when humans gaze into the eyes of a robot? Jackie Ibanez with some answers.
You can tell a lot about what someone is thinking by simply looking into their eyes.
We communicate with gaze, we try to infer intentions of others from their gaze.
But what happens when humans make eye contact with humanoid robots? It may seem like a far-out question, but with more and more companies employing robots to assist with basic tasks, odds are pretty good a greater number of us will encounter some sort of robot in the near future.
The question is whether the robot gaze will evoke very similar mechanisms in the human brain as another human's gaze would.
So researchers in Italy went to work, having human test subjects play a video game against a human-like robot. During the game, the human and robot were prompted to lift their heads, where they either made eye contact or didn't. And what analysts found was shocking.
The mutual gaze of the robot affected decisions by delaying them. So humans were much slower in making the decisions in the game.
Not only did making eye contact with the robot slow down a person's ability to make decisions, experts also found the way a person's brain processes a robot's gaze is similar to how we interpret social cues by making eye contact with another person. Researchers hope to expand on this study to see how they can successfully integrate humanoid robots in places like hospitals, nursing homes, and offices without creating negative reactions. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
All right, now let's transition over to our something to talk about on the KOAM News Now Facebook page. I'll throw it up behind me here. This pretty interesting story coming out of Neosho County, Kansas, Chanute area. Because somebody up there's $250,000 richer. We just don't know who it is because they're remaining anonymous. Let's put it this way, at least I don't know who it is. All right, so somebody bought this lottery ticket, ended up winning $250,000. They got it at the Peach 24. There it is. North Santa Fe Street in Chanute. Marvelous place, marvelous people. I could guess there quite a bit when I'm up in that neck of the woods. So here's the best part. The unnamed winner thought that their ticket was worth $25,000. That is nothing to scoff at. Nothing. Until they're like, oh, wait a second, I got this multiplier. It's worth $250,000. They drove up to Pica, claimed their ticket. Our question to you, though, is what's the first thing you would do if you won the lottery? And it's been pretty consistent. We've seen this number dip just a little bit, but 56% of you say you're paying off the debt. 29% say after I get back from Topeka, I'm headed to the bank. I found this kind of interesting. Only 4% have said, I don't think I'd show up for work the next day. You can always participate by going to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. We'll be back right after this.
Bitcoin is taking one country's currency into the digital age. On Tuesday, El Salvador officially began accepting the cryptocurrency as legal tender. Businesses will be required to accept it, and residents can use it to pay taxes. The Central American nation bought nearly $21 million in Bitcoin ahead of the rollout and set up a network of ATMs for consumers to use. It can be terrifying calling 911 in an emergency, especially when you don't have an address to give. But new technology now pinpoints emergency calls in seconds using an app or a text straight to your cell phone. Dina Dimitris reports.
The Los Angeles Fire Department gets about 1,000 calls a day for help, from hoisting hikers to safety to battling wildfires. Last April, a pair of Los Angeles hikers ventured off a trail and got lost. A new technology called What 3 Words led rescuers to their exact location.
You're going to get a text message and click on that link and then let me know what words it says.
Heavy send career.
Okay, so heavy send career.
Within seconds, LA Fire pinpointed the remote site.
We've got a rescue on the ground. He's made contact.
The new technology divides the entire globe into 57 trillion 10 by 10 foot squares, each with its own unique set of 3 random words as its address.
Right now, we can see the dot on the map, but without What 3 Words, we can't describe it in English. We have to use very long, a series of numbers or letters in order to do that. But if you just have to enter 3 English words, it's like entering an address. So we were able to really speed up the call processing time.
Nationwide, the average emergency response time is about 10 minutes, rising to 14 minutes in rural areas. Now help comes sooner.
The ones that it really helps get there a lot quicker is our helicopters, our air assets. They're able to input it into their system, and they're able to fly directly to that location and get overhead.
Callers who have the app on their phones can quickly give their 3-word location to 911. But even without the app, dispatchers can still zero in on a call.
Even if you're offline with no data, you can still get the 3 words for where you are. If you don't have the app on their phone, they do have a way to send you an SMS, which will take you to a web page where you can get the 3 words.
3 words that take the search out of search and rescue. Dina Dimitris, CBS News, Los Angeles.
What 3 Words is also used in a few smaller emergency agencies in the U.S. and more widely in other countries in more than 30 languages. Pretty cool technology. We'll be right back with more after this, but first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell. Well, it's one thing to keep a lock of someone's hair, but when it's from Elvis Presley, collectors get all shook up over a giant hairball the size of a baseball. It was originally gathered by Elvis's barber, and as Jenny Moose reports, the clump just sold at auction for more than $72,000.
This isn't some hairball the cat coughed up. Oh no. This is a hunk of Elvis's hair, a baseball-sized hunk collected not during his most famous haircut.
He lost his hair to the Army.
But said to be gathered by his barber of more than 2 decades, kept in a plastic bag, transferred to a sealed jar, and now sold for $72,500 by Cruise GWS Auctions, with documentation like all of the plane tickets Elvis got for his barber to take him along to performances. The King's Electric Chic Shaver also sold for $3,000.
But it's one for the money.
The big money, just over $1 million, was paid for the so-called eyelet jumpsuit and cape Elvis wore to perform at Madison Square Garden. Elvis's hairball has actually lost value. It sold for over $115,000 the last time it was auctioned off almost 20 years ago. Back then there was talk that the DNA in the hair could be used as the basis for a dauntingly complex attempt to clone the legend. But 2 decades later, Elvis is still not in the house. I've covered the bidding for smaller clumps of his hair.
So what's it like to run your hands through Elvis's hair?
It's very exciting, Jeannie. Really exciting.
She described it as coarse, not soft. Whoever bought this latest hairball, you better, as Elvis would say, treat me nice.
Scratch my back and run the old pretty fingers through my hair.
Jeannie Mose, CNN, New York.
You know, the more you look at it, the grosser that hairball looks. Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing. Do you have a favorite Elvis movie?
Oh. Man, I wouldn't know where to start.
Clam bake.
Clam bake?
Yeah, clam bake. So as much as I enjoy his music, I'm a big Elvis cinephile. I had a huge crush growing up on Shelley Fabares. And also, too, that movie would star Bill Bixby, who our generation would be more familiar with his role in the Incredible Hulk television show.
There you go.
Yeah. Somebody say clam bake. And you just start clapping. So for those of you that remember clam bake, good times right there. Live look over 7th and Rangeline. No need for the air conditioner on this Wednesday morning. Roll down the windows and soak up some sunshine and fresh air. As we sit at 60 degrees, our temperatures have steadily dropped. How about Fort Scott? Now down to 57 degrees. And pay attention to Neosho, Anderson, and Miami. That at one point in time we're hanging at 70 pre-sunrise. And now as that cold front slowly progresses through northeast Oklahoma and into northwest Arkansas, we're beginning to stabilize up to the north. So that temperature drop is pretty much done for the day. Now with all the sunshine we're going to have, we get a nice little warm up, but not oppressively hot by any means. We're going to roll mid 80s on Wednesday and Thursday. Stay on the dry side. Then that wind's going to shift back. It's coming from the north today, 20-mile-per-hour gusts. But Friday, it's going to shift around to the south. And we are setting up for a hot weekend. Let's take advantage of a couple glorious mornings and afternoons here, evenings as well. Just look at those overnight lows. It's going to be great to get outside, take a walk every now and then. And we'll be back, wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. President Biden says this summer's extreme weather events should convince skeptics that climate change is real. Yesterday, the president toured flood-ravaged neighborhoods in the Northeast. He said climate change poses an existential threat to the nation and needs to be addressed. One of the largest Confederate monuments in the country is slated to come down today. The 21-foot-high bronze statue in Richmond, Virginia depicts Civil War General Robert E. Lee riding a horse. It's expected to be cut into pieces before being hoisted off its pedestal. The granite base will be left in place. The 2020 inductees to the Baseball Hall of Fame are finally getting to Cooperstown. Derek Jeter, Larry Walker, Ted Simmons, and Marvin Miller were selected in January of 2020. The pandemic caused their induction ceremony to be delayed until now. Let's check in with Michael with a final look at your forecast.
Yeah, great class, and say what you want, but it's a long time overdue that Marvin Miller is in the Hall of Fame. And I understand that a lot of you that are big baseball fans are going to say that Marvin Miller is the reason behind a lot of labor disputes that even carry on today. But the fact of the matter is the man was very influential in the role that he played with the Major League Baseball Players Association. Highs today in the mid-80s, whole bunch of sunshine. Watch that north wind this afternoon. It'll pick up, come in from the north about 20 miles per hour overnight. Similar in nature to what we're experiencing right now, we just won't have the drop. We'll actually get down into the 50s instead of watching the temperatures keep on going down after sunrise, but a delightful middle of the week before the heat returns for the weekend.
All right, well, a Texas restaurant has found a solution for its labor shortage. The owner of La Duni in Dallas says he has a third of the staff he did pre-pandemic, and while he's trying to hire new people, he says no one is interested in working. So he turned to robots for help.
They're coming for us, man.
Yeah.
They're coming for us.
Well, the restaurant has 3 robots that work as host and runners. They take guests to their tables, bring out the orders, and even sing happy birthday while you wash your hands. Experts say the labor shortage in service jobs is from low wages and the spreading Delta variant, or just people's lack of desire to go get a job.
What do you do when you tip?
Well, I think you can get away without tipping them.
Wow, okay.
I don't know.
I was
Hey.
gonna go, I'd make sure that it goes to like the cook and everybody like that and make sure that they're, you know.
I was thinking that if you didn't tip them, then you could tip your actual waitress or waiter more, your server.
Well, that's where I was kind of headed with that. I just want to
Maybe
see.
you could just stare into their eyes.
I just want to see how
and they would
quickly
take
you were going to
that as
backtrack on that.
Gaze into those robots' eyes and see how they handled it.
Thanks for letting us put the good in your morning. More news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.
Hi, I'm Scott with Windows.